ask you, do you struggle with your relationship with food? Do you often feel guilty, regretful, shameful after you eat? Now, I really want to get to the bottom of this for you because I struggled with a very painful relationship with food for most of my life. And I would almost go as far as to call it a war. I was in a war with food, whether I was worried about what my next meal was going to be or whether I was guilty about what I had just ate. So if you resonate with that, keep watching because there's one technique that has absolutely changed my life. And this is a discovery that I made. It's a very little known technique. You know, I tell people about it all the time and they've never heard of it half the time, and let alone tried it. So I'm super excited to tell you about that. So who am I? Why should you listen to me? I'm Charmaine Ironside. I am the most proud diet dropout out there. I will never turn to dieting to help me lose weight again. I live my best life in my best body in a joyful way without dieting, and I want to show you this picture, not to brag, just to show you that I understand what it's like to be overweight. This was me just over 2 years ago, actually just under 2 years ago, and I had a child a couple months before this, and I just wasn't able to even release any of that baby weight. I was super frustrated, my knees were sore, my back was sore, I was out of breath going up the stairs, none of my clothes fit me, and I just felt really crappy about myself. And you know, if you're feeling that way about yourself, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling overwhelmed, you just want an easy solution, well, I'm not going to tell you this is going to be the easiest thing, but it's going to be the most sustainable and joyful thing. So it might, you know, take a little bit more thinking and being present in your life, but it's going to be way more fun than any diet ever will be, and it's also going to allow you to keep the weight from coming back on. So if you've tried a million diets and you haven't been successful, I want to tell you that it's not your fault. It's not a lack of willpower, you're not lazy, you're not destined to be fat forever. And I had those thoughts about myself for many years. I thought there was something fundamentally wrong with me because I couldn't release body fat with a diet. I might lose a few pounds, you know, I might even lose a ton of pounds. One time I actually lost 30 pounds in 10 weeks. But as soon as I finished the diet, all the weight came back plus more. And the more I've researched this, I mean, I've been a fitness trainer, I've been an Olympic level athlete, and all throughout this, I've struggled with my weight. And I've actually researched and found that the stats show 95% of dieters gain back all the weight they lost, plus more within a year of finishing the diet. And most dieters only last 3 days on a diet. So it's no wonder the diet industry is making a ton of money off of us, but it's just plain not working. So I'm super excited to show you this discovery that I've made that I know is going to help you big time. So kind of my aha moment was when I just finally got so fed up with the diet industry that I said, there's gotta be a better way. And I started to slow down my life a little bit and look for a more deep reason. And I realized it wasn't about the food I was eating, it was actually more about the way I was eating. The way I literally sat down to eat my food, or didn't sit down. So I was someone, I would classify myself as a type A, go-getter. I wanted to achieve a million things in the day, and eating was sort of a nuisance, but it was also an emotional thing for me. I loved to eat to distract me from my painful life because I wasn't really living a happy life. And so I realized if I ever wanted to get this weight thing figured out, I had to change how I ate. And so I started to look into different eating techniques and slowing down. And the first thing I did was I turned off the distractions. I turned off the TV while I ate. I made it a rule that I don't eat in the car. And yeah, sometimes I slip up on my rules, but generally I won't eat in the car while I'm driving especially. You know, I would make sure that I wasn't writing emails as I ate because I could talk about multitasking all day long. It's a useless thing. It's not productive in any area. It's actually just toggling between two tasks. But when it comes to food, multitasking is actually keeping you overweight. And that's been studied and proven. It's not super sexy to sit down and eat mindfully because most of us are so used to having, you know, our phone in our hand. You know, I'm gobbling down this amazing thing, but then I'm texting and I don't even taste the food I'm eating. So The day I started releasing body fat sustainably and joyfully was the day I stopped eating with distraction. And that's mindful eating. It's not like this meditation thing necessarily. It's just deciding that your food and meal times deserve your attention. Europeans have taught me a lot about eating. I spent some time in Europe, and they make eating an occasion. It's this special thing, it's sacred, it's part of what makes life worth living. And you know, it's been studied, the top 5 things that make humans happy, food is one of them. So why would you take that away from yourself by eating while you're driving? Because I can guarantee you're paying more attention to the road than you are to your food. So I just want to read some of the benefits of mindful eating. And before I do that, an analogy a friend of mine just shared with me, which I thought was kind of cool, was eating mindlessly is kind of like having sex mindlessly. And you know, if you're a woman watching this, you've had sex before where your mind was thinking about everything but the sex. You were thinking about the laundry that had to get done. You were thinking about your next meal. You were thinking that you're hungry and you want this to be over or whatever. But we've all done it. We've all had a mindless, we've had sex mindlessly. And the thing about that is, it's painful because it's like boring and you just want it to be over with. And anything in life where you just want it to be over isn't enjoyable. And I'm all about bliss. And the other thing is, you're not getting anything out of it. Maybe that's kind of similar. But the worst part about it is, with sex, at least you're not doing something that's causing you to gain weight. With eating mindlessly, there's not only a lack of joy, there's also a consequence, which is normally that you eat too much, which means you gain weight, and that you feel crappy about yourself, you feel remorseful, regretful, guilty. And so, mindless sex, basically you're robbing yourself of a really enjoyable thing. Mindless eating, you're robbing yourself of a really enjoyable thing, and you're gaining weight because of it. So that's a pretty big reason to try this technique I'm teaching you. So the benefits of mindful eating: you can release body fat joyfully without counting a calorie, without following someone else's meal plan, just doing it, eating what you want. Literally, I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, but I do it without distraction. So I know when I'm full. I know when my taste buds are not enjoying the food anymore. And that has helped me release over 50 pounds of body fat without dieting. And I am so not interested in a meal plan. Literally, I look at a meal plan and I run the other direction because I love freedom. And if you're watching this and you like freedom and you have a pretty busy life and following a diet is just stressful and it's not what you need, then this is for you. Mindful eating is worth a shot. The other thing is, you will avoid cortisol-driven fat storage. So when you're driving in rush hour and eating, your stress hormones are through the roof and your body is actually wired to hold fat from that meal. 3 times as much belly fat can be stored from the exact same food if you eat in a state of distraction and stress versus eating in a state of relaxation and enjoyment. So that's a big reason to eat mindfully. Portion control becomes unnecessary because you just know when you're full. And if you're full, you cover up the food, put it in the fridge, whatever, but you don't keep eating. And it becomes so easy because you can't overeat when you're mindful. You just can't because you don't want to. It just, the desire to overeat goes away. You'll digest better. This is a huge one. If you're stressed and you're doing something else while you're eating, your digestive system is not primed, so you'll still get the same calories, but you won't digest as well. Those important things, those enzymes in your stomach, the acids that help digest properly will not be in full force, so you'll be more farty. You won't get as much nutrition from the same food, but you'll still get all the calories. You will probably be gassy, blah, blah, blah. And the last thing is, you won't be satisfied. You won't be mentally satisfied because eating is something that humans need to do for joy. And so if you're always eating with distraction, whatever you're doing is taking more attention than the food. I guarantee it, whether it's watching a scary movie, driving your car, having an intense conversation, writing an email, those things are taking more attention than the food is. So when you finish eating, you don't feel satisfied. You feel full but not satisfied, which are 2 very different things. And then you end up wanting more food later. Your cravings will be more heightened afterwards because you didn't actually satisfy yourself. So that's a little bit of the benefits. There's a million more. Mindful eating translates into mindful eating. mindful living. If you eat mindfully, it starts to go into the rest of your life. You start to be more mindful with your kids. You start to have more connected interactions with people. You feel more connected to yourself. Life just gets way more fun. So give it a try. Stick with me. So I want to just share a quick testimonial of a client of mine. She just sent me an email and she released 20 pounds in 21 days. She timed it 3 weeks. And the only change she made, nothing with food, she encouraged herself to sit down every day at lunch. Now she's a pharmacist, she's very busy, and it's kind of frowned upon to sit down and eat. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way our world is going. But she said, no, I'm going to make this a commitment for 3 weeks. She sat down to eat. She noticed she didn't eat as much. She got way more satisfaction. She was less likely to grab the chocolate bar throughout the afternoon because she hadn't really gotten that satisfaction. And she did this at lunch and dinner, and she released 20 pounds in 21 days. Now that's amazing. And this is someone who dieted for her whole life and was never able to keep the weight off. Now she's just continuing to release body fat, continuing to love the journey. It's not a restrictive deprivation type thing. All she's doing is eating the same food, but in a slow way without distractions. So it's definitely worth a shot. And it was the game changer for me, and it was the game changer for most of my clients. Yes, eating healthy is important, but when you start to slow down around your food choices and when you're eating, you'll actually notice that naturally you want to eat things that taste good for your body and your taste buds. Alrighty, so I have a really awesome mindful eating cheat sheet, and I want you to download it, and I want you to do your next meal mindfully. It's not hard. You literally just have to sit there and eat. It's something that has gotten so bastardized by our culture, but if you can just sit and eat, take a few breaths, center yourself in your body, see if you're, stressed. What are you bringing to your meal? Because what you bring to your meal emotionally, you're actually, in a way, you're eating it. So download the Mindful Eating Cheat Sheet below in the description box. It's an amazing resource to use at any meal where you're choosing to consciously eat mindfully. I also really want you to subscribe to my channel because I am so passionate about helping you live your best life in your best body without dieting. We're done with dieting. Can I get a yee yee? It's possible, I promise. It's actually not only possible, but it is the best, maybe even the only way to really have joy and freedom around food and still have a rockin' body. So yes, lots of people are foodies, but they're also overweight. I'm a foodie, but I live at a happy, comfortable weight because I'm a foodie that eats mindfully. So I love food. Food is a huge part of the passion in my life. However, I don't want to live in an uncomfortable body like I used to, so mindful eating is everything. So make sure you download the Mindful Eating Cheat Sheet in the description box below. I look forward to hearing how mindful eating is going for you, and I'll talk to you very soon. Have a great day.